This is guaranteed to be the best bitter leaf soup you've ever made. Welcome back to my channel, guys. Today we are making bitter leaf soup. And before we start, I'd like to say that if you haven't subscribed to my channel, this is the right time to subscribe. Also, save this recipe for the next time you want to cook bitter leaf soup. So let's talk about the ingredients that you will be needing if you want to make a really nice pot of bitter leaf soup. Firstly, you're going to need your protein. And for this recipe, I'm going to be using cow meat. You can also use any protein of choice, beef, goat meat, cow leg, cow head, whatever protein of choice you can use. You also need your dry fish and your stockfish as well. I'm using catfish for this. Use any dry fish you prefer. So next, we're going to be needing some cocoyam. These are not boiled yet. These are just fresh cocoyams. And next is the bitter leaf itself. This is not really cooked. You're supposed to cook it until there is no bitterness left in the bitter leaf. The ones we get here in the north always come not well cooked. So make sure you cook this properly before you start using. Next, we're going to be needing some palm oil. You're also going to be needing some Ogili isi. This is a smelly one that usually comes wrapped in either leaves or in foil papers. So yeah, we're going to be needing Ogili isi. We're also going to be needing some crayfish. I'm going to be using some ground crayfish for this. And last but not the least, we are going to be needing this particular yellow pepper. This is called osensuka. Like it's a local yellow pepper. It has its own distinct flavor. It adds to local dishes. So this is quite important for this particular dish. So these are all the ingredients. I'm going to be listing the ingredients in the description box. So make sure to check that before you start cooking. So firstly, we're going to add pot on fire, add in our bitter leaf, add some water, because enough water, just enough water to cover it properly, because you're going to have to cook this down, cook this for a long period of time. You can also use your hand to squeeze bitterness out if you have the energy for that, but I don't. So I usually just boil it until it's properly cooked and it doesn't taste bitter anymore. So while that is cooking, I'm going to add in the cocoyam into my clay pot. I love using clay pot to make most of my dishes. Add cocoyam into my clay pot, add in a little bit of salt, cover and put on fire. The salt is apparently supposed to make it cook faster. While that is cooking, you're going to wash your stockfish and your dry fish with hot water. Wash that with hot water and salt and set that aside. So I'm going to taste it like this to be sure that it's all the bitterness has been cooked out before we continue cooking. Okay. The moment you can chew that bitter leaf without squeezing your face, you're good to go. At this point, the cocoyam is all nicely cooked and soft. So you're going to check that and then get to pound. You're going to pound this with a mortar, like the local way. But if you have a food processor that can process this as well, go with that. That's the easier way. But I'm going to use mortars. But before I get to that, I'm going to put the protein on fire. So as that is cooking, you get the time to prepare the rest of the ingredients. So add in your protein, add in about 4 stock cubes, add in a little bit of salt, and then add in the stockfish head, already washed stockfish head. Allow that to cook while we pound the cocoyam. Like I said, if you have a food processor, it makes it easier. I like to do it this way. Sometimes I use a blender, but this is my preferred method. Pound that and set aside as well. So my meat has cooked a little bit. I'm going to be adding my ground yellow pepper at this point and also the washed dry fish. I'm just going to add that in, cover, and allow it to cook for another 5 to 8 minutes before we're going to then add in the quantity of water we'll be needing to make the full pot of soup. So yeah, this depends on the quantity of soup you're trying to make and the quantity of ingredients you have. So I added just enough water for my ingredients quantity. Cover that and let the meat cook till it's about 70% done. Then at this point, you're going to now go ahead and add in your already cooked bitter leaf. Add that in first. My family love lots of bitter leaf. My kids love to eat them in their soup, so I make sure I add enough, even more than enough. They love it so much, even more than the soup. So just add as much quantity as you can tolerate or as you would like. Now cover this and let it cook for about 5 minutes. Then we're going to now go ahead and add in the pounded cocoyam. Yes, add that in bits. And at this point, once you finish adding the cocoyam, we are not going to cover the pot anymore. This is what the way I was taught growing up, that you don't cover the pot. If you cover the pot, the soup is not going to thicken. So you're going to add in cocoyam at this point and allow it to cook. Also, this is the point where we're going to add the ogili as well. That's the smelling ogili. We're going to add it at this point. Once you add this one, your whole house will smell like shit. But that's the what brings out the real taste of this bitter leaf soup. Is very important. It's a very important step that can't even be missed. So after you add in the cocoyam, add in the ogili, and let that cook. Your neighbors are going to be wondering who is tormenting them at this point. Okay. So yeah, we're going to add all of that and allow it to continue to. Also note that sometimes when we add cocoyam, it might not be enough. So what I will usually do is to have a backup of powdered cocoyam. I always have that as backup. So in case the cocoyam I'm using, because most times when you buy cocoyam, half of it have gone bad. So if it's not enough, I always have like powdered cocoyam on hand for situations like this when the cocoyam isn't enough, doesn't take in the soup as much as you want it to. Or if you want a thicker soup, always have like powdered cocoyam on hand. While that is cooking, we're going to go ahead and add crayfish. I used about 3 big spoons of crayfish. Also, I'm going to be adding my red oil at this point. Add that in. No need to stir yet. Just add it in and allow it to do its thing to cook and marinate with each other inside the pot. So at this point, the cocoyam has dissolved to about 80%. So I'm going to stir it a little bit, and still allow it to cook so that the rest of the cocoyam can dissolve into the soup and thicken it. I'm looking at it and I'm saying that the cocoyam will not be enough to get the soup as thick as I want it to. So I'm going to have to bring in my powdered cocoyam. All I'm going to do is just add it in a plate and mix it in with water to form a very light paste. That's what I'm going to add into the pot and let it cook to actually further thicken the soup. I like me a very thick bitter leaf soup, so I'm going to be adding the powdered cocoyam at this point. Add that in, let it cook for a little while, stir, and you're going to have a very, very thick bitter leaf soup. If you're somebody that's what you like myself, that's what you're going to get if you add the extra cocoyam powder. Yeah, so I've added that in. I'm just going to stir, 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 allow it to cook for about 5 more minutes, and my soup is ready. See, my kids were hanging, literally hanging by the door, waiting for the soup to be ready because this is one of their favorite soup. In fact, I would say it's their favorite soup. They were literally hanging by the kitchen door, waiting for this soup to be ready so they can devour it. This was so, so good. It was super yum. So yeah, that's how you make your bitter leaf soup. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, like and share it as well, and also subscribe if you haven't subscribed up to this point. Thank you so much for the love, and I will see you guys in my next video. You can now go ahead and enjoy your pot of bitter leaf soup with your swallow of choice, whether eba, fufu, pounded yam, semo, whatever choice of swallow you prefer. Dish this correct bitter leaf soup and enjoy. Serve it to your friends, serve it to your families, even your enemy. Serve your enemy. Let them enjoy this spot of deliciousness. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a like, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next one. Bye bye.